Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Brothers, apologies for the delay. Inshallah, we will not be starting late from next week onwards. I know some of you come from very far and it's hard for you. You don't want to be back home too late. Inshallah, next week won't be delayed, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go through the names of Allah Azza wa Jal, Al-Baari and Al-Musawwir. Last week we went through Al-Khaliq. Al-Khaliq is the creator. Okay? Al-Baari and Al-Musawwir are also names of Allah Azza wa Jal which are with regards to Him creating things. So how is Al-Baari and Al-Musawwir, how are these two names different to Al-Khaliq? The way that they're different is that you have to understand the creative process in 3 stages. When Allah Azza wa Jalla decides and He decrees that He's going to create a particular thing, that's called taqdeer. The fact that Allah Azza wa Jalla, He decrees that He is now going to make something, He is now going to create something, that's Al-Khaliq. So Al-Khaliq is the initial stage, just the decree, the decision that something is going to now be created. Al-Baari is the next stage, because Allah, when He creates from there not being any prior example of that creation before. He creates that creation when nothing like it ever existed before, and that's Al-Baari, the one who originated something when there was nothing like it before. Human beings, when we create something, for example, the light bulb that we created, it was a creation that was made after they understood the creation of the sun. As in, there is a thing that gives off light. When they build bridges and structures, they observed the trees and how the animals would build houses on trees, and how the tree would stand so firm, and it had roots and it had foundations, and they took these principles and they applied it to construction. Whenever it is that we create something, we make something, we make it based on something Allah has already created before. But Allah, when He makes something, He makes it without any prior precedent. There was no other example other than this. Allah was the first. And that's Al-Baari. That is Al-Baari. Al-Musawwir is the 3rd stage of creation. The first stage is that Allah decides, He decrees He's going to create. The next stage is that He creates that thing without there being any example of it prior. He originates it, He's the originator. Al-Musawwir is that now He designs it, now He fashions it, now He shapes it, now He gives it image. So Allah Azza wa Jalla created you as a human, but then He gave you eyes, He designed that in you. Then He gave you lips, He molded them. Your ears, He shaped them. Your feet, your legs, everything. That's the details, the image that you have. Allah, He designed it, He fashioned it. You look at the flower, Allah, He made it. He made the flower without any prior precedent. Like in the beautiful petals that you see, and when you go close and you see that, the pollen inside, and the colors and the textures and the tones in which the colors, they just go across. That was Al-Musawwir. He designed it all. He did what? He designed it all. And those are the 3 names of Allah Azza wa Jalla with regards to creation. Of course, Al-Khalaq from Al-Khaliq. But these are generally the 3 stages. But I want you to understand something. If you ever hear the name Al-Khaliq mentioned unrestrictedly, then generally speaking, it means creation in general. It can mean everything. So some scholars went on to say that Al-Khaliq is the creator, and Al-Baari and Musawwir explain who Al-Khaliq is. As in, Al-Khaliq is the creator, the one who makes, the one who creates. Al-Baari, He does it without any prior precedent. Al-Musawwir, He shapes, He fashions, He designs, He gives it that form that it has. So those are the 2 ways to understand. Either you understand these names as 3 stages of how Allah Azza wa Jalla creates, or you understand it as Al-Khaliq is the name, the one who creates. How does He create? Al-Baari and Al-Musawwir. Does that make sense? There are many ayat in the Quran that give example of this. For example, هو الخالق البارئ المصور in Surah Al-Hashr, where Allah mentioned all three of these names. في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran that He created you. In whatever form that He willed, He put you together. Brothers and sisters, don't be sad with the way that you look. Don't be sad with your shape, your design, your height, your body, your skin tone. These are things Allah, He put you together in that way. He formed you in that way. And it wasn't an accident. It wasn't down to what? Random mutation. No. في أي سورة ما شاء. He intended this. He willed it. When Allah made you with a certain skin tone, Allah specifically intended for that for you. When Allah made you with a certain body shape or a certain height, Allah made you like that. He intended to make you like that. And this was a will that Allah willed. And His perfection and His wisdom behind everything Allah Azza wa Jalla He does. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. Allah said, we created you. Then after that, what did we do? Allah said, He gave you shape. He gave you form. You see the way that the human being starts. Wallahi, how do the kuffar disbelieve? How do the atheists disbelieve? You ask them, how did you start? Your life, your existence, how did it begin? It began as what? Seminal fluid. It began as seminal fluid. In Surah Yasin, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said that, what did they do? They came to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they dug up a grave. And they brought the bones that were inside of the grave. And they said, is this what Allah's going to bring back to life? And you see the bone, when it's left in the ground for a period of time, it becomes brittle, like dust. And then they'll throw it in the Prophet's face, or they'll blow it, one of the two, in his face. They'll throw it at him. And they say, this? And it's become ramim. Allah's going to bring this back to shape? And Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Yasin, the last page, He says, this person, the only reason he could be talking about this, why did he forget how he was created? He was created from seminal fluid. He was created from seminal fluid. And seminal fluid, look at the argument, look at the way Allah Azza wa Jalla, look how He's appealing to these people. But they're so silly, they don't understand. Allah said, they're saying the bone has become brittly. It's become a skeleton that's become like dust. And Allah's going to bring it back. What they're trying to say is that look at the form that the bone is in. This bone, it's changed form. It's not a human anymore. It's a bone and it's become brittly and it's become dust and it's become scattered. The form is changed. How is Allah going to bring this back to life? Allah said, did you forget how you were made? How did Allah create you? You were made from seminal fluid. You were made from seminal fluid. You were made from that. And that seminal fluid is liquid, huh? But look at how that liquid changed form. And that liquid, one day, it became a solid. And then that solid began to grow. It had what? It began to have organs, bones, flesh. Not only that, that solid, it started to walk. It started to what? It started to talk. It started to what? It started to think. It started to reason. That seminal fluid, it became a thing that started to have dreams. It started to have ambitions. It started to get sad. It started to get happy. But how did it start? It started what? It started like that. And you're going to now say, how's Allah going to bring the dead back to the life? وَهُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. This person is a clear-cut, argumentative. This person, that's what he is. Allah Azza wa Jalla said. But they don't want to believe. And that argument that Allah used for the people who didn't believe in the resurrection, the point Allah's trying to make is that I created you from seminal fluid and you know this. And you know this. Why do you think it's hard for me to take the bones and bring them back to life? I gave you life when you were seminal fluid. And I can give life to these bones back again. So you can say to the atheist, wallahi, sometimes I do this. Sometimes I bring water. Like I bring water when I talk to the atheist. I bring a bottle of water. I said, you started off like this. Can you imagine this liquid inside of this? Because seminal fluids are liquid. Can you imagine this water in this liquid right here? Can you imagine it? That one day this would, because that's how you started, a substance similar. This now starts to walk and talk and has arms and eyes, and it can see and it can perceive colors, and that's blue and that's red and that's white and that's purple, and it can think and it can smile and it can be happy and it can be sad and it can frown and it can love and it can work and it can do all of these things. That seminal fluid now, what does it do? It runs 100-meter sprints. That seminal fluid, what does it do? It drives cars now. But that's how you started, and you wonder, and you think that happened because of random mutation. How can that be? How you think that literally that liquid, it was random? You really think that? Wallah, you're an idiot. Allah said, وَهُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ, which is argumentative people, and they don't want to believe. And Allah Azza wa Jal, some of them, He has sealed their hearts. And Allah doesn't let anyone guide. Allah doesn't let anyone become misguided. Except that what? وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ, Allah didn't let them become misguided, or they were caused to become misguided, except that they were people who are fasiqeen. Allah said they were themselves filthy, rebellious people, and that's why their hearts became sealed. So Allah said, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ, Allah said, Allah created you. ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ, then Allah said, after that, we fashioned you, we shaped you. Does that make sense? There are so many ayats just like that. The name Al-Baari, I'm not going to talk about too much, because the name Al-Baari kind of is similar to what we discussed in last week's lesson in the name Al-Khaliq. So if you missed that lesson, you can refer back to that video online. Inshallah, it should be released by hopefully tomorrow. But what I do want to talk to you is a bit more about the name Al-Musawwir, because that's something that there are a few masail that are connected to it. There's an ayah in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said something. He said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي what? أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah said, we created the human being in the best of forms. You have to understand something about the Arabic language to understand what this ayah truly means. In the Arabic language, there is something called, when a word comes in the form af'al, it means it's the best. For example, the word akbar, it means great, right? But kabir means big. Kabir means great. Like in akbar means the greatest. So when you say Allahu Akbar, you say Allah, you are the greatest. Does that make sense? The word ahsan here, Allah said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah said we created the human being in the ahsan form. Hasan means good. Hasan means good. Like kabir means big. It means great. But when kabir comes as akbar, it means the greatest. When hasan, which is good, comes as ahsan, it means the best. Nothing better than it. So Allah said we created you in the best form. Meaning nothing, no creation has a shape, has a form better than a human being. The human being was created in the best way, in the most beautiful, most perfect form. Allah didn't say min ahsani taqweem. He didn't say you were created from the best forms, because from means there's a few forms that are good and you were from one of them. Like you were created from the best. Wallahi, for those who are insecure, who look at themselves and they think that they don't look good, or they think they're not attractive, what are you talking about? Allah thinks you're beautiful. Allah thinks you are so beautiful. Not only thinks, Allah knows, Allah made you beautiful. Why are you being self-conscious for? Why are you getting stressed out for? You are so beautiful. You are so amazing. You are so handsome. Allah made you like that. To say what? I'm ugly? That's an insult to Allah. Allah didn't make you ugly. Allah made you amazing. Allah made you amazing. It's a funny story that was mentioned at the time of the Abbasi Khilafah, which is the Abbasid dynasty as they call it. after the time of the Umayyad dynasty, early Muslim generations, where there was a man. He said to his wife, he said, if you do not look more beautiful than the moon, if you are not as beautiful as the moon, then you're divorced. Obviously the moon is beautiful, right? The moon is beautiful, and especially for the Arabs, the moon was a very beautiful thing. The way they described beauty was that they'd compare it to the moon, right? So, this became a big issue. People are confused. Is she divorced? Is she not? Is she more beautiful than the moon or not? So they took it to the judges, and the judges said, the judges, the qudat, the qadis, they said, she's divorced, man. The moon is pegged. The moon is pegged. He said to her, if you're not as beautiful as the moon, you got to go. So then one judge came, and he said, no. Allah said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah created the human in the best of forms. The human is more beautiful than the moon. When I put that into perspective, sometimes you look at things like the moon and the sun and the stars and the galaxies, and you look at the world that Allah created and you think, wow, how beautiful was that? The sunrise, the sunset, the horizon, the ocean. Like Allah made you more beautiful than all of that. Allah made you as a human better than all of that. So why is it that, my sister, you are looking for a compliment from a man? Why is it that you're putting up selfies of yourself? And even then, what are you doing? You're covering yourself with makeup, which is not your true form. And then you're filtering all of these poses on Instagram to find the right pose, which further is not who you really are. Just so you can get likes and recognition from guys. And these guys themselves are high. Or they're drunk at the time. That they are what? They are telling you they like you or not. Is the way most men are nowadays. Are they sane? Are they sane? That we've been so destroyed in terms of our fitrah. Things like pornography and this and that. Like our perception. Remember the sins, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, I think Sahih Muslim, this wording, where he said that a person does sins and the heart becomes covered in dots and darkness until the whole heart becomes dark. The Prophet said, the person will not be able to know good and he will not be able to know bad. So a man sees a beautiful woman, wallahi he does. A lot of brothers have this issue now, because when they go to marriage meetings, they see a sister who's practicing. She doesn't have makeup on. And he'll say to her, she's not that attractive. I'm looking for a 10 or a 9, 8 even. But the sister's like a 5. And I say, wallahi, that same sister that you think is a 5, wallahi, she's not. If she was to, on your wedding day, come to you at home and dress up and beautify herself the way that some of these girls in the streets they do, wallahi, she would be better than them, if not the same. But the reason why you cannot tell is because you didn't lower your gaze. You looked so much, your heart became corrupted, and you can now no longer tell the difference between what's beautiful and what's ugly. You can now no longer tell the difference between what's beautiful and what's ugly. I'll give you an example. The other day, I went to one office. I had to go to some office place. And there's a lady in the reception who came to serve me. Now, of course, the lady, when she came, and I realized this lady, what did I do? I had to lower my what? Gaze. But in the time that she was walking to the counter, unintentionally, I happened to see her. And I was with my family at the time. And when I saw her, as in, family is a respectful way of saying wife. So I was with my family at the time, and I was so confused. I looked at my wife and I was like, what's wrong with the eyebrows? What did you do? And she's like, oh, it's a new fashion that the women, what they do is now they tattoo eyebrows on. Wallahi, I said to myself, if she thought that was a good decision, she's mad. That was insane. That was not normal. Like, it's fake. Like, it looked like my niece took a crayon and just on her face. And why? But she thought this was beauty. Why? Because her heart's probably become so corrupted, so diseased because of the sins, that they now cannot tell the difference between what's beautiful and what's not. They cannot tell the difference between what's beautiful and what's not. So they become displeased with the beauty that Allah gave them, and they can't see. When Allah said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, when Allah said, I created you in the best form, they can't see that. So she has to now change the form. And that's why, tattooing, getting tattoos is haram. And Allah's curse is on the person who does it. There's a curse of Allah on the person, because you're changing Allah's creation. Allah told you, don't change it. I made it, and I made it perfect. The women, this is why they told, don't pluck your eyebrows. This is why women are told, don't pluck your eyebrows. Of course, this part right here is a difference of opinion. Some of the ulama said the middle part is not considered an eyebrow. So we could be lenient on that. Even though it's best to not touch it. Stay away from the issue. Does that make sense? There's not a single... So, look, everyone has got some hair here. Everyone's got it. Everyone's got some kind of hair here. Some people maybe they don't have anything at all, but most people have got something right here. Does that make sense? You pluck it, then it goes back and it gets thicker and thicker. That's your beef now. Does that make sense? You wanted to put that on yourself. But just leave it. Leave it. Do you understand? But, okay, the middle part, some of scholars maybe said this is not considered eyebrow, even though I don't take that view. If it's not eyebrow, what do you call it? Even in English you call it a monobrow, because it's a brow, it's part of the brow, right? Like, let's maybe not be so tough on that particular issue, but this part right here, and doing this, and doing this, and doing this, and relax. Allah's curse is going to come onto you now. Literally, you're going to take hellfire, you're going to go into hellfire for a few hairs. For a few hairs. A few bits of hair, you're going to take hellfire for that? What are you doing? Don't do that, my sister. Don't do that, my brother. Even brothers, why are you plucking your eyebrows for? That's very homo behavior. No, I'm being serious, it's a joke, but well, I was shocked. Brothers go to the barber shop now, and the barber shapes the eyebrow for them. Well, I went to a barber shop, and the guy told me he was going to put out the thread and start threading my cheeks. I said, my brother, I'm a man. I'm a man. I got hair on my chest, bro. He's trying to thread me for. Did I come in wearing a skirt? It's a phobe. He said, no skirt, my brother. The point here is that people, now look, they want to change their forms. And that's why, and we're going to come to the issue of homosexuality and transgender in a second. But the point is that, where did it come from? People not being pleased with how Allah made them. A man says, I want to be a woman now. A woman says, I want to be a man. Give me the arms up. Like, bro, Allah made you a woman. Why are you sad? Allah made you so perfect and beautiful. And you know what's sad? Is that people have got like a common theme of the perception of what beauty is. Well, beauty is something very subjective. Very subjective. Beauty is not objective. Come on, we've all been in that situation where there is a sister that you might think, Allah, bad. Sister, mashallah. And then she's with a brother and you're like, whoa. What happened there? How did he draw that? You know what I'm saying? But she found him beautiful. Some people like Shrek, and some people are attracted to Fiona from Shrek. Like the point here, the point I'm making, Shrek, you like Fiona, right? They were organs. Like they got it on together. So the point here is that, listen, beauty is subjective. Beauty is subjective. So why are you now feeling a certain way about yourself? You know, the Arabs used to find big women attractive. They liked the women big. In fact, the more rows she had, the more attractive she was. Did you notice? They would say the more rows she had. In fact, until today in Mauritania, the women who are wealthy, the women who are attractive, they're fed a lot. It's a big thing because it's causing them heart disease and illnesses and whatnot. They feed the women. They say, I want to make this woman, she needs to get big. Because they like it. So who said it's unhealthy? Who said it's unattractive? I'm saying that beauty, you speak to people, everyone likes someone in different ways. You ask one brother, he likes them tall. One brother, he likes them short. One brother, he likes medium height. One brother, he likes them what? A bit, like this and like that. Don't be so insecure. Just because what? A couple kuffar came, they found some women who were abnormally skinny and anorexic. Sick. They were actually sick. It's a sickness. Anorexia is a sickness, my brothers and sisters. And they put them on a couple of magazines, blah, 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 blah. And most of those images are made up anyway. Beyonce, Women want to be like Beyonce. Beyonce actually had one of her ribs removed. You know, to make her waist tight, she made her, you know, your ribs, the bottom part, she got it removed, bro. And you can't, like, what they are making right now, and the shapes that they are making, of what they perceive to be beauty, you have to literally alter your body for it. You have to give up ribs. And that's what you want to be? And can I tell you something? Wallahi, if it was beautiful to be the way that Beyonce looked, with those ribs removed, Allah would have made it like that, naturally. But Allah said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. I created the human in the best of ways. The best of ways this human was made. So Beyonce's way is not the best. Because if it was, you would have naturally been like that. But you're not naturally like that. So it's not the best. But why do you think it's the best? The sins, they took over the heart. They made the heart so filthy, corrupted the heart so much, that you look and you think, wow. But wallahi, a person's upon their fitrah will look at that and say, A'udhu billah. What kind of monstrosity is this? Look at you. Like an alien. Wallahi, they'll say, this is alien. The way some of these women are, and like, wallahi, the way they injecting their lips with so much filler, and you think, bro, wallahi, some of the women, the way, like, back when I was young, the only thing that had big lips was a clown, and it was scary. It was meant to scare you. It was meant to scare you. And now it's like, yo, fill up your lips, man. Like, it don't look normal. It really doesn't look normal. It looks atrocious. But a person who, not upon their fitrah now, because of the sins they've done, they won't be able to acknowledge that. For them, it will just look filthy, it will just look ugly. Does that make sense? But to look normal, but wallahi, it's not. It's beautiful, and Allah made it that way. And you should be very scared, by the way, to change Allah's creation. Because after Allah, He told you He created you in the best ways, what did He say right after that? He said, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Allah said, after He created you in the best form, He said, then after that He returns you to the lowest of the low. To the lowest of the low. What does this mean? The lowest form Allah will bring you to. What does that mean? What form will Allah bring you to? A very low, filthy, disgusting form. What does this mean? Imam Ibn Qayyim explained the ayah. He said it means that the person, when he's being dragged to the hellfire, to be grabbed by the face, thrown onto the floor, and their face will be dragged into the hellfire, and their face will become distorted and ripped, and then when they're thrown inside of the hellfire, their face will get burnt, and they'll bleed and pus and ripped apart, and it will just burn. Allah will destroy that face. That same image that Allah said, I made it the best of the best. Allah said, now I'll return it to asfala safilin, the lowest of the low. I'll make it the lowest of the low, the ugliest of the ugliest, the filthiest of the filthiest. Why? Because this person disbelieved. And this person played about. This person what? Changed the creation of Allah. He changed the shape. She changed the shape. Getting all these plastic surgeries and getting all these adjustments to their nose and their lips and plucking their eyebrows and tattoos and all these things the Prophet prohibited. Curse of Allah is upon these people, Prophet mentioned. And what? He was telling them to the lowest of the low. Why? Because they weren't pleased with Musawwir, the one who is the shaper, the one who is the fashioner. And he said, I done it in the best of ways. They didn't believe him. So Allah said, you want to disbelieve now? I'll take you to the lowest of the low. You think you're ugly? And because of it you changed your shape? Okay, now Allah said, I'm going to change your shape. I'm going to deform you now by burning you in the hellfire. Some of the ulama did say that the ayah doesn't mean taking you to the hellfire. It means Allah will make you old. ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. He will return you back to how? Like to becoming old, because they're old people. But then Imam Ibn Qayyim said this is wrong, and he gave 9 reasons why it's wrong. And one of them is the next ayah said that there's going to be exception. A group of people Allah will not make low. He said, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, the believers. And the believers become old. So it can't be talking about age, because the believers become old. Does that make sense? So it can't be talking about the believers here. It has to be talking about the kuffar. Does that make sense? So do not change your shapes and do not change your forms. And be very grateful. Be very pleased with the way that Allah Azza wa Jalla He made you. Now, I have to talk about something else as well. Because Allah made you in a very amazing form, not only can you not change it, But you can now not deform others by beating them and punching them in the face. There's a hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, in which he mentions sallallahu alayhi wasallam that do not attack each other in the face. Why? Just trying to find the hadith for you. The Prophet said, إِذَا قَاتَلَ أَحَدُكُمْ أَخَاهُ فَلْيَجْتَنِبِ الْوَجْهِ. The Prophet said, if you're going to fight, if you end up fighting someone, if you get into a fight, okay, you end up fighting with your brother, then do not hit him in the face. Why? فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ خَلَقَ آدَمَ عَلَى صُورَتِهِ. Because Allah created Adam in His image. And we're going to explain what it means in His image. But understand that Allah Azza wa Jal has prohibited through the hadith of Prophet striking someone in the face. To the point where there's ijma', consensus, unanimous consensus on this issue. You are not allowed to strike a believer in the face. Not only that, there are even evidences that show if an enemy is coming to attack you and he's a kafir, you can't hit him in the face. You can't hit him in the face. You can strike him in his body, you can give him some body blows, wind him, but you cannot strike the face. This is a prohibition, something that's haram. And because of that, things like boxing and MMA became what? Became haram. It became haram. And why we support these things, why we support these fighters, we say he's a Muslim and he comes to the stage and he says Alhamdulillah and he says Allahu Akbar. I'm happy he's a Muslim, but he's doing haram. And you find brothers with beards who are practicing and they're watching MMA fights, UFC fights, and the guy's just, what is he doing? He's just striking the face. He's slamming his fist into the face of the person, destroying the person's face. This is haram, brothers. Inshallah, we pray that Allah guides our brothers and our sisters who do these things that are wrong. But it's not allowed. It's haram. It's haram. Okay, he's a Muslim, good, but he's doing haram. He's doing a big sin. Does that make sense? And this is why we learn the names of Allah, Musawwir. Like Allah said, I made that face. And then you want to get excited over people damaging that face? Allah said, I made that face. I designed it, I fashioned it. Allah saying, I own it. That face of that person belongs to Allah. So you can't now seek happiness and joy in someone trying to destroy that face. Mold that person's face in. You can't. He's a kafir. Okay, no problem. Even the kafir, you can't strike him in the face. You cannot strike him in the face. Because is the kafir a human? And Allah said, I created Adam ala suratih. I created Adam in his image. The Prophet said, Allah created Adam in his image. What does that mean? Don't worry, we'll come to it. But the point here is that the face is something that is noble and you're not allowed to strike in the face. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, my brothers? Okay, good. So what does it mean that Allah Azza wa Jal, He created Adam in His image? What does that mean? It means that Allah created Adam in the image of Allah. What does that mean? Because even the Christians say this, that God created us in His image, but they somehow have a perverted understanding, which is that God is a man, and Allah created us in His image as in He's a man and He created us as men, because Jesus is a man to them. Like, this is wrong. It doesn't mean that Allah is a man. It means that Allah, He has a surah. Allah has a surah. Allah Azza wa Jal has a form. And part of that form of Allah is that He has a face. And part of that form of Allah is that He has two hands. And part of that form of Allah is that He has feet. Does that make sense? It's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So, Allah has a face. Now, is Allah's face like our face? Abadan. Can we even begin to imagine what Allah's face looks like? Can you say Allah's face is round, it's this, and it has a neck on it? Well, yeah, you can't say none of that. Can you say Allah has a hand and Allah's hand looks like my hand? No. And this is not something that's hard for us to understand. Because does that clock have a hand? Does it have a hand? What does the hand do? Hand is something that grabs, something that signals. What does the clock do? What does the clock's hand do? It gives a signal. Signal to what the time is. Does the clock have a hand? Do I have a hand? Is my hand and the clock's hand the same? It shares a name, it shares a meaning to some degree. Like it does not share the same essence. Does that make sense? So does Allah have a hand? Yes. But Allah's hand is not like our hand. And there's a greater difference between my hand and Allah's hand. You know why? Because the clock and me, both of our hands are created. Allah's hand is uncreated. And our hands will come to end, and Allah's hand will never come to end. This is something, you have to understand something, brothers, sisters, about Allah's names and attributes. In the Quran, Allah told us He has a face. In the Quran, Allah told us He has hands. In the Quran, Allah told us He has He told us that He has eyes. Allah told us these things. But that's all He told us. He didn't tell you how, He didn't tell you when, He didn't tell you what it looks like, none of that. And the only way for you to know is if you saw Allah Himself, or you ask someone who saw Allah and they told you, or number 3, Allah told you Himself, and none of these 3 happened. So upon you is what? We say, أَمِرُّوهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ بِلَا كَيْفٍ. We say we go over the ayah as it comes. Allah mentioned He has a face. We don't ask no questions. We don't ask no why. We go over it as it comes. أَمِرُّوهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ بِلَا كَيْفٍ. We say we don't know how. Does that make sense? But there was a group of people that came and they said, no, this is wrong. How can you say Allah doesn't have a face? How can you say Allah has a face? I have a face. You have a face. I have a face and you have a face. Now you're saying Allah has a face. You made Allah like a human. You're a mujassim. You're a mushabbih. You're anthropomorphist. You've made Allah's face the same as the face of a human. Or you've given Allah a face and humans have eyes and humans have hands. And they say, so now if you affirm for Allah that He has a face, you affirm for Allah that He's like a human. You done kufr. Because Allah said in the Quran, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Allah said there is nothing like Allah. So how do you answer this? Say that again? Finish the ayah, exactly. We say, finish the ayah. What did Allah say? Allah said, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Finish the ayah. Right after He said, وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Allah said, and He is the one who He hears and He sees. When Allah said to you, there is nothing like Him, straight after that He said, He hears and He sees. Do we hear and do we see? So why is if we are comparing the human to Allah, or Allah to the human by saying Allah has a face or Allah has a hand, then that means that now we must also say, by your logic, Allah doesn't hear and Allah doesn't see. We have to say that, don't we? Because the humans also hear and the humans also see. But like they affirm and then they agree that Allah hears and He sees. They affirm this. They affirm this. No one's going to say Allah doesn't hear and no one says Allah doesn't see. In fact, some of them even said Allah can't see. Some of them even said Allah can't hear. Some of them went that far. Because they fell so deep into their filth that they had to say that. But like in generally speaking, they won't say that Allah can't hear and can't see. And when you say, why do you not affirm for Allah? Why do you not negate for Allah's sight and negate for Allah hearing? They're saying, well, you've negated for Allah a face and you negate for Allah a hand. They say, because the way Allah sees and the way Allah hears is different to the way we see and we hear. Because Allah hears everything and Allah sees everything. And we don't hear everything and we don't see everything. We say, Barakallahu feek. Allah's hand is different to our hand. The same way His hearing is different to our hearing and His sight is different to our sight. Same way. It's different. It's like that here. Okay, some of them realized that we came with this argument, so then they said, you can't even say Allah hears. Some said you can't even say Allah sees. Some said you can't even say Allah hears. Some say you can't even say that Allah He sees. We said, okay, do you affirm for Allah life? Does Allah live? Is Allah alive? Allahu la ilaha illa hu huwa al-hayyul qayyum. The one who's ever living. Allah's not dead, is He? Allah lives, right? Allah's alive, right? They say, yeah. I say, okay, but we live. We're alive. We're alive. So what's your problem? What's your problem? If you affirm life for me and you, why are you not now saying that, comparing, to say that Allah lives It's comparing him to the creation. They say because Allah's life is different to ours. Allah's life is perfect. Allah's life never began. Allah's life will never end. And I say, my brother, this is the same. With Allah's sight, Allah's hearing. Allah's hearing is perfect. Allah's hearing is different to ours. Allah sees everything. Allah's hearing never began. Allah's hearing will never end. Allah's hearing will never decrease. It will never get better. It's always at the peak of its perfection. And He hears everything and He sees everything. Does that make sense? Some of them, because they're trying to, remember, these are groups. The Jahmiyyah, the Mu'tazila, the Maturidis, and the Asha'ira. All of them are of different levels. All of them are of different levels. All of them, the Jahmiyyah, the Salaf done takfir, said kuffar. The Mu'tazila, kufriyat in them as well. And the Shia today, in the chapter of Allah's names and attributes, they are Mu'tazila. Don't think the Mu'tazila don't exist today. The Shia, the Rafida, are Mu'tazila. Does that make sense? They believe these things. And then you have the Asha'ira and the Maturidis, who are the Sufis. They deny Allah's attributes. They affirm for Allah 7, life and Allah lives. And I said, Akhi, every characteristic of Allah that I affirm, that the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah affirm, the ones who are upon manhaj Salaf affirm, I said, those same characteristics, we affirm them for the same reason you affirm Allah's life and Allah has knowledge. Don't we have knowledge? Yeah. So then why is it that you're negating all the others? You say Allah's knowledge is different to ours. So is His hand. So is His feet. So is His eyes. It's different. It's different. Some of them went so far, they could not affirm for Allah life. Zamakhshari, who is Mu'tazili, he's got a tafsir called Kashaf or Kashaf. In there, he even struggles to affirm for Allah that Allah lives. He tries to go to the things that come as a result of living. He can't even affirm life because he knows if I affirm life, we live too. Some of them were lying. So that's why some of the scholars said, you worship a God who's dead. You worship a God who's blind. You worship a God who's dumb, who can't speak. You worship a God who can't hear. He's deaf. That's your God, not our God. Even you ask them, where is Allah? We say, Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arsh istawa. Allah, He rose above His throne. They say, oh my God, you put Allah in a place. He said Allah is somewhere. Allah is in a place. You put Allah somewhere. I said, so where is Allah? Where is He? They say you can't say Allah is on the right, you can't say He's on the left. You can't say His front, you can't say His back. You can't say He's up, you can't say He's down. You can't say He's inside His creation, you can't say He's outside His creation. So then where is Allah? If He's not in the creation, and you're telling me He's not outside the creation, then the only place He can be is in your mind. So you worship a figment of your imagination. Tell an Ash'ari, tell one of these people who negate Allah's names and attributes, prove to me that Allah exists outside your mind. They can't. Prove to me Allah exists outside of your head. They can't. For them, Allah is just in the imagination. Why did this come? Because they started getting into philosophy, my brothers and my sisters. Start to ask questions. That's my point. Is don't debate with the text. Allah said, Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arsh istawa. Allah is above the throne. He's above the throne. They say, okay, but then question. They say Allah's throne is above the heavens and the heavens are above us. So what? When you're in the South Pole, up is down. So up is down. So now what? The one who's on the North Pole, for him Allah is above. And the one who's on the South Pole, for him Allah is down. And the one who's in the equator, that's in the middle of the universe. So when he points, he's actually pointing like this, above to the sky. He's pointing there. Does that make sense? And the scholars answered, they said the direction can be the general direction that everyone knows, and it can be the relative direction. Yes, relatively speaking, to you and me, right and left and east and west, they're different. Up and down is different based on where we are. Do you understand? Like a spider who's on top of... Like for example, if you saw a spider right now who's on the roof, are you going to say that the spider is down? Because according to the spider, what is he? No, according to the spider, where is he? Yeah, when the spider's on the ceiling, his legs are on the ceiling and he's facing down, if the spider pointed up, where would it point? It would point down, right? But is anyone going to deny and say the spider's up? Because we can understand that, yes, relatively to the spider, he's down. But in the grand scheme of things, he's up. The same way, so who's on the South Pole, when he points, he might point down, but we're talking about, we know there's the earth above the earth. There is only one up. If you was to come out into space and look on top of the earth, up is only one direction. And Allah is above His throne. So they can't even prove that Allah is outside of His creation, man. They can't even prove, that Allah is outside their mind. For them, they worship a thought. They worship a figment of their imagination. So, in summarize, because we did digress, and I don't want to get too deep into these discussions just yet, because we're going to wait for us to come to the books like Aqeedah, Wasatiyya, and so on and so forth before we dive into it. The point is that Allah said, the Prophet said, "Inna Allah khalaqa Adam ala suratih," that Allah created Adam on the image of Allah, meaning Allah has an image. Yes, His image is that He has a face, and He created Adam with a face. But the same way Allah's hand is different to our hand, and Allah's knowledge is different to our knowledge, and Allah's sight is different to our sight, and Allah's hearing is different to our hearing, and Allah's knowledge is different to our knowledge, and Allah's living is different to our living, because Allah lives, but He lives in a way that's perfect, no beginning, no end. He's at the peak of His life. Same way that is the case, it's the case with His face. But the Prophet is telling you that Allah, He has a face, and He gave Adam a face. But His face is not like Allah. Does that make sense? His face is not like Allah Azza wa Jal. So I wanted to mention the shubha. Sorry, I saw a video of some guy in Hyde Park. He was talking some things about Allah's names and His attributes. I don't know if you've seen that video. Sorry? Huh? He became Salafi? How?
The US, no, Shams spoke.
He actually became Salafi?
Yeah, he tweeted yesterday.
Oh, nice. Allah bad. My brother went.
He left the shop.
MashaAllah, my brother. You made me go off on a run for no reason, bro. You need to make a video renouncing that, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, khair. Brothers, this is why it's very important that when you give da'wah, you have to have knowledge of these things. You have to have knowledge of these masail, because they are things that are down to the basic elements of our creed. As you see, when you learn Allah's names and attributes, people tell you this is just a discussion for what? Not relevant. Wallahi it is. Through these discussions, have we not disproven atheism? Every lesson, every time we learn about a name of Allah, have we not disproven atheism in a different way? Have we not disproven Christianity in a different way every time we learn? For example, Jesus was Himself designed and created, the refutation of Christianity is coming. I tried to make it every lesson, we tried to refute Christians and atheists. Have you noticed that? Every name of Allah, we just add another refutation on. So learning these names, you get to learn how to refute kufr from the Quran and Sunnah. And if you don't know these names, you go to philosophy. Why else are they going to philosophy? And how's a man giving da'wah quoting Descartes? What are you quoting Descartes for? We've got Imam Ahmed. We've got Imam Ahmed to quote. Forget Imam Ahmed, put him to the side respectfully for a second. We've got Rasulullah to quote. We've got Allah to quote. The thing is, you don't know Allah, you don't know Rasulullah. So don't go to philosophy, brothers. Does that make sense? Do not go to philosophy. Learn the Quran, learn the Sunnah. Okay. Now, question. Okay, I have to miss that out because otherwise it's going to get long. No, it's important to mention. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran. Allah said, وَلَأُضِلَّنَّهُمْ Shaitan said, I'm going to misguide them. وَلَأُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ I'm going to arouse inside of them false desires. وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ I'm going to command them. فَلَيُبَتِّكُنَّ آذَانَ الْأَنْعَامِ وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ He said, I'm going to command them to change the creation of Allah. Shaitan said, I'm going to command the humans to change the creation of Allah. Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 100 and something. Shaitan said, فَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ I'm going to make them change the creation of Allah. Pay attention. Allah said something in the Quran. Allah said, أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ To Allah belongs the creation and the command. The command is the Quran. The Amr is the Quran, the legislation. And the creation is what we know. Allah created us, so He sent down the legislation to govern the creation. The same way when I go to the Apple store and I buy a new iPhone, the ones who manufacture the iPhone, they give me the manual of how to use the iPhone. The one who creates something, he gives you a manual. Whenever you go to a shop, you buy something that is something been made and manufactured, you also get a instruction manual from the manufacturer. Does that make sense? Now, if I buy the iPhone and I change the way the iPhone was made, I move the button out of place, I open it up, I reconfigure, I rewire it, I change things around inside the iPhone, and then I try to turn it on and it doesn't work. And then I put out the manual and I say, hey, it's not working for me. The manual says, click this button, the iPhone will turn on. Pay attention, it's a very powerful thing. Click this button, the iPhone will turn on. But now, the iPhone doesn't turn on. And the manual, I can't benefit from it now. Because why? What have I done? What have I done? I've changed it. So now what do I need? I now need a new manual. I now need a new book. The one who's changed it, I need him to give me a manual. Now the one who changed it, was he as knowledgeable as Apple? Was he as good in his craftsmanship and his manufacturing as Apple? So him having changed it, and the new manual he gives, will it bring good for the phone or will it bring bad for the phone? Eventually the phone's going to die out. It might short circuit. The battery might get corrupted. The software might what? Go haywire. And eventually that phone will die. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلِ الْأَعْلَى. I'm not trying to compare these things to Allah. The example of Allah is greater. But I'm trying to make you understand. Why did Allah say, Shaitan said, فَلَا يُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ. Shaitan wants to make you change Allah's creation. Why? Because the creation, Allah said, belongs to Allah. And the legislation, the Amr, the Quran, it belongs to Allah. And Allah sent the creation to be governed by this legislation. Now, Shaitan wants to get you to not obey the Quran. The same way, this guy who messed with the phone doesn't want you to follow Apple's manual anymore. He doesn't want you to follow Apple's manual. Shaitan doesn't want you to follow the Quran. He doesn't want you to follow the manual. The Quran is not a manual, it's greater. But he doesn't want to follow the instructions that Allah gave you. He wants you to go to something other than that, something that's going to destroy you. The same way the guy who messes with the phone, he'll give him a new manual, but it will eventually cause the phone to destroy and become corrupted and break and die early. The same way he will do that. Shaitan wants you to go to something other than the Quran. But Shaitan knows that you will never let go of the Quran. Pay attention. Shaitan knows you will never let go of the Quran as long as your creation is the way Allah made it. Because your creation needs the Quran to function. Allah made you a certain way. He made the Quran perfect. When you are the way Allah made you, you have the Quran perfect. Okay, this is right, this is wrong. Do this, don't do this. It all fits perfectly. But when you change the creation, He changes you now. He changes your form. Now the Quran, it's now not working for you. Or that's the way you will see Him. So you need to go to something other than it. For example, Shaitan will come to a woman and he will say to her, look how beautiful you are. And you don't want to hide this beauty behind these jilbabs and abayas and niqabs and hijabs. Hey, take this crop top. Go out and wear it. The creation Allah made, when Allah created Adam and Hawa salamun alayhima, He straight to it, Allah said, وَأَنزَلْنَا لِبَاسٍ. Allah sent down clothing. Straight away. Because this creation was not supposed to be unclothed. The same way Allah said, I sent down the Quran, came down, Allah's mercy comes down, the rain comes down, Allah said, I sent down clothing for them. I sent them down clothing. I sent them down clothing. Allah sent clothing for us. This creation was supposed to be clothed, not naked. Shaitan says, okay, I need to get them to stop obeying the Quran. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to make her take her clothes off. I'm going to change the creation. Now, what happened? Because the creation changed. It now cannot implement these verses anymore. Hijab and jilbab, it makes no sense. I need a new definition of modesty. He makes some people go further. I say, listen, be gay. And now, all of the whole chapter of marriage and divorce, he can't take it. All those ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah about marriage, and the ayat about divorce, they can't be applied anymore. Because he wants to marry a man. Story of Lut, it doesn't apply anymore. He says, Shaitan doesn't target that Quran. He targets the creation. He gets them to change the way that Allah made them. And then he knows, when I change that, then now they're going to say, wait, I like men. Saying that sounds strange. I like men. And what? Because he likes men, he's like, but the Quran, I can't implement it because the Quran tells me marry women. Huh? And then what? Then they say transgender now. Now they're like, now it's become so normal for a man to be a woman to be a man, and they have what? 60 genders. Male, female, gender neutrality, binary, blah 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 blah. Like some websites you go to and they click gender, drop down list. Bruv, it's long. I think and they're just adding genders. So imagine now the Quran is for men and women. But you say, I'm not a man. I'm not okay, what are you, a woman? Maybe work with that. Maybe, find a fatwa, send it to the sister section, put a niqab on you, and I'm not saying to do that, by the way. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying we can maybe stretch it for you. We can find, But the guy says, bro, I don't know what I am. So now what? The Quran doesn't work for you now. Do you see this, brothers and sisters? Do you see this? Do you see this? The Quran doesn't work for you now. So protect your creation. Protect the way Allah made you. Some of us, we wear trousers low, showing our bums. Wallahi, the baboons do that in the jungle. Shaitan wants you to behave like animals. Then you behave like animals. He wants you to behave like animals, then you become like an animal. Why are we stabbing each other? Why are we killing? This is animalistic behavior. Why do we go to our own brother, our own Muslim brother? A Muslim will go, his name is Abdullah, slave Allah, and he'll go and sell drugs to a Muslim. He'll go and sell drugs to a Muslim. That's your brother, man. That's your brother. Someone will go, a Pakistani will go and sell drugs to a Pakistani. A Somali will go and sell drugs to a Somali. He says, bro, I've got to make my money, bro. This is your cousin. It's your cousin, my brother. But he's selling him drugs. He's thinking like an animal. The same way a lion will attack another lion and a monkey will attack another monkey. They don't care. Every man for himself. But it's the way you dress. It's the way you behave. It's what you eat. You eat pig. Now the pig is what? When you eat pig, and you eat pig, what happens? The pig's a part of you. It's entered your creation. The pig has entered your creation. It's what is proteins have gone inside of you. The pig is in your stomach. The pig is in your body. The fat of the pig is in the fat in your body now. You have pig in you. Your creation's changed. So you start to behave differently. You start to function differently. And because of that, what? Now, you're different. You're animalistic. So the Quran, it can't work for you now. So you look for secularism, feminism, or what? The conduct, the code of the streets, that's what you look for. You look for something different other than the Quran. Because the creation changed. Shaitan wants to get you to change your creation. Sisters, I always tell sisters when I speak to them, do you know what Shaitan's beef is with the human? Do you know what Shaitan's beef with the human being is? What is it? Huh? Pardon? It's our body. When Allah said, "Ma mana'aka," what prevented you, O Iblis, from making sajda to that? "Khalaqtu biyaday," I made him with my hands. I made creation. This conflict about creation, about shape, about form. Allah said, what made you not make sajda to Adam? Iblis, I made him with my hands. Iblis said, why? What was his response? خَلَقْتَنِي مِنَ النَّارِ. He said, you made me from fire. وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. And you created the human from clay. He's saying, my form, my body, my shape is greater than the shape of the human. That's why I didn't make sajda to him. That's why I won't make sajda to him. So Shaitan has a problem with your body, my sister. He has a problem with your body, my brother. Your creation is what he has an issue with. And Allah created you better than Shaitan. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We honored the children of Adam. We were honored greater than the jinn. That's why the jinn was told to make sajda to the human. The angels were told to make sajda to the human. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. The best form Allah said I made you in. You are the best. And shaitan didn't like that. So when shaitan got cast out of Jannah, shaitan wanted to take revenge. Why did he make Adam and Eve eat from the tree? Why did he do this? What was the reason they went to the tree and they ate from the fruit? What was it? Have you thought? Forget thinking. Have you read? It's in the Quran. It's in Surah Al-A'raf. On the 4th page or the 3rd page. It's there. Allah said the reason shaitan wanted to make them eat from the tree is because he knew when they eat from the fruit of Jannah, they've disobeyed Allah, so they will now no longer be able to stay in Jannah. The clothes of Jannah cannot be worn outside of Jannah. So when they sin and they're taken outside of Jannah, they will become naked for a period of time. And nakedness is a humiliation for the creation, for the human. Because Allah honored us by giving us clothing. Allah said, وَأَنزَلْنَا لِبَاسًا. We sent them down clothing to cover their nakedness. That's why we were given clothes. To beautify ourselves. To honor ourselves. Shaitan said, I was dishonored. I was humiliated. And I'm from fire and he's made from clay. Okay, no problem. I'm going to humiliate the human. I'm going to make him run around naked. He said, I want Adam to become naked. Allah said in the Quran, He wanted to make sawatihima, their private parts, become uncovered. So the moment that Adam ate from the tree and Hawa, they became naked. Because you can't wear the clothes of Jannah in Jannah. Sorry, you can't wear the clothes of Jannah and you're not in Jannah anymore. And then Allah, He told the human beings a few verses later, He said, O children of Adam, do not let shaitan misguide you do not let shaitan affect you like he affected your parents. Do not. When their clothing was removed, Allah told you don't become naked. Shaitan wants to make you naked because he hates your body. He hates your image. Wallahi, I remember back when I was young, I was in year 10. There was some beef that was taking place in South London, and there was one guy who got caught slipping. And they came to his house, they put a gun to him. And they put a camera phone up. He said, strip naked. Made him strip naked and walk to school, walk to college. The video went round, everyone laughed. Humiliation. Man's walking around naked. Look at that. Humiliation. 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 You see, man, stripped. Humiliation. Shaitan came now, made these women take off their clothes. This is humiliation, but you know what's sad? You know why she don't see it? She sees it that this is liberation, this is freedom. She's walking around naked, her breast can be seen, her waist can be, everything's on display. And she said, this is freedom, my brother. But what? Shaitan is laughing. Look at her, idiot, you idiot. Honored, huh? Honored. Humans honored. Look at the way I make you run around naked. And she says, let me take off more. How stupid. Let me take off more. How stupid. You walk into the gym, you see grown men naked talking to each other. What are you showing, my brother? What are you doing? Put your boxers on at least. Naked men in the gym. What are you doing? Humiliation, but they think, look, they got nothing to show. But what is this? Why? Shaitan, he wants to destroy your body. He wants to change your body. He wants you to become upset with the way you look. That's why you pluck your eyebrows. That's why you're not happy. You look at your face. Look, this is so deep, man. That's why. Why is it so? You look at your face every day. You think, no, I don't look good enough. My skin tone, my flesh. How can you be unhappy with your skin tone? Allah made you with this skin tone. He made you beautiful. Well, I don't understand when a person comes to me and I can't find myself attracted to dark-skinned people. What do you mean dark-skinned people? Allah made you dark-skinned. He made you so beautiful like that. But your mind is corrupted. I only want fair skin. Fair skin's not the only people Allah made. He made them fair skin. He made them olive skin. He made them yellow skin. Some He gave reddy skin. He gave them dark skin. Allah made all of that beautiful. The way you don't see it is because what? The hearts can't tell the difference between right and wrong. The sins, because the creation's been affected, changed. And because of it, when they read the ayat of the Quran, it doesn't affect them. So they look for something other than the Quran. They look for something other than the Quran. So you have to safeguard your creation and be happy with your creation, your image, your way you look. Don't ever look at someone. Even me, I made a mistake. Sometimes you look and you say, that's ugly. It's a sin. Inni atubu ila Allah, I repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't insult the way someone looks. Don't make fun of each other's body parts. We see a brother, one brother was with, he had one leg longer than the other. The brother goes, oh, you're a clock. Because the clock has one long hand and one short hand. Allah made him like that. Allah made him like that, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't we see a brother, he doesn't maybe, for example, have much facial hair, his beard. Don't mock him. He say, sister, don't say things like that. I don't do it. I'm saying, like, Allah made everyone like that. And shaitan is making us insult each other. And when we insult each other, what? It leads us to want to change the way we look and change our figures, and we're not happy with ourselves. And then it leads us to change the creation of Allah, become naked, walk around naked and distorted. And when that happens, now what you want is different to what the Quran tells you. So now you can't implement the Quran. The Quran becomes something of tales, of old tales. Asatir al-awwaleen, they say. Fairy tales. Wal-iyadu billah. To end, inshallah ta'ala, because Allah is al-Musawwir, the one who creates images, it is haram for a person to create an image. The Prophet said, إِنَّ أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ عَذَابًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الْمُصَوِّرُونَ. The people who have the severest punishment on the Day of Judgment are the image picture makers. The Prophet said, أَشَدُّ النَّاسِ عَذَابًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الَّذِينَ يُضَاهُونَ بِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ. That the people who have the most, the people who have the toughest punishment on the Day of Judgment is those who try to make things that were like Allah's creation. Does that make sense? So, image making is haram. Putting up pictures in your house and having photo albums with images and sculptures and shapes and decoration pieces of animals and portraits. You're drawing faces of humans and eyes. It's all haram. It's inna ashad al-nas. Sorry, I don't want to say the hadith wrong because Prophet said, Inna ashad al-nasi adaban, na'am, inda Allah yawm al-qiyamah. The people who have the severest punishment on the Day of Judgment is those who make images. Only Allah has the right to make images. You don't have the right to make images. Go home today, inshallah ta'ala, rip up all of your pictures, all of your portraits. Rip up all of them, okay? Rip up all of them, destroy all the sculptures and idols in your houses, destroy all of these things. Of course, if your mum and dad own it, then it's their property, it's not yours, so you can't destroy their property. You can speak to them, advise them. The Prophet said that the angels do not enter the house in which there are images. So if the angels don't come, who do you think comes to your house? The evil jinn come to your house every day. And then you wonder why in your house everyone's fighting, mum and dad are fighting. Then you wonder why mum and dad are fighting and sisters are fighting, you don't get on because the evil jinn are in your house because you've got pictures everywhere. What? People tell me, oh, but I like drawing pictures. Okay, is it worth hellfire? Now you can draw pictures of things that don't have a soul in them. Dhatu arwah is what's prohibited. Things that have souls are prohibited. Dhawatu arwah are prohibited. Any animals, any living things. Does that make sense? You can draw trees and rivers and things like that. That's why I made a video a few years ago, and a lot of people mocked it. And some of you may have thought I'm going extreme. When we said that you can't make a snowman. It's haram to make a snowman because you're making an image. You're making a sculpture. You give it a head. You just put a head on something, and that's haram. And I mentioned you have to take the head off the snowman. Because Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said to Sunnah Bayhaqi, what did he say? He said what? He said take off the head of the image, because the head is the image. Once you've taken it, you distort, the image is no longer an image of a thing like that. Does that make sense? These are why it's challenging Allah. When you learn the name Al-Musawwir, now you can't compare to it. Now there's a khilaf that entered on the issue of digital pictures. And the ulama, they discussed this issue. And some of the scholars, they said that digital pictures is different. Digital pictures, even though it's called a picture, is not a picture in the way that the hadith meant surah. And some said, no, it absolutely is. Khilaf amongst the ulama. Go do your research, inshallah ta'ala. If it's unclear to you, always take the safest route. Always take the safest option. Wallahu a'la wa a'lim. We'll end, inshallah ta'ala, by mentioning one final thing and bringing it back to Tawheed al-Ibadah. Allah said, أَيُشْرِكُونَ مَا لَا يَخْلُقُ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ وَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ لَهُمْ نَصْرًا وَلَا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَنصُرُونَ. Allah said, are you worshipping things besides Allah? They never created anything. They themselves were created. You worship Jesus, He was Himself created. How can you worship one who was created by Al-Baari, Al-Musawwir? Allah is Al-Baari for Isa. Allah is Al-Baari, Al-Musawwir for Isa. For the Prophet ﷺ, same way. How can you worship anything? These people, they worship the universe. Pay attention, this is a powerful ayah. They worship the universe. Allah said, أَيُشْرِكُونَ مَا لَا يَخْلُقُ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ. Did they worship things besides Allah that were created? Things that they never created, they themselves were created? Look what Allah said about the universe. Allah said, لا تسجدوا للشمس ولا للقمر واسجدوا لله الذي خلقهم. Allah said, don't make sajda to the sun and don't make sajda to the moon. Don't worship the sun, don't worship the moon. Why? Worship the one who created them. When you look at these atheists, wallahi, the way they talk about the sun, the moon, the stars, they talk about it as if it's God. Or some of them, you hear them talking about the cosmos, they have tears in their eyes. They have tears in their eyes. They talk about it, they say, Subhanallah a'lam. We look at the sky and the moon, we say, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. They say, Subhanallah a'lam, glory be to the universe. They worship the universe. They worship the universe. We say to them, do you worship the universe that does not create, yet it was created? Would it not make sense to worship this beautiful cosmos? So would it not make sense to worship the one who made this beautiful cosmos? The one who placed every planet where it is. He placed every orbit where it is. Every night you go to sleep and the night comes. And when you wake up in the morning, when you wake up from your sleep, does the sun ever come out late? Is the sun ever late by even 1 second? Does the sun not come out every day on time? SubhanAllah. Do you know how fast the earth is moving right now? Do you know how fast the earth is moving around the sun? Thousands of miles per second. Do you know the earth is moving 1,000 miles per second right now? But do you feel anything? If you were inside a car that was going 100 miles per hour, you could feel the vibration. The earth is moving thousands of miles per second. Do you feel anything? Worship the one who designed the earth, not the earth. Worship the one who made it, who placed it, who set it, who fashioned it, who ordained it in this way. The earth is spinning on its axis. Spinning on its axis, rotating on its axis. Do you know how many times the sun rotates? In a day, I think they say from the space station they can see 16 times a day the sun sets and it rises. 16 times a day because of how fast it's moving. 16 times a day. For us, 24 hours is what? 1 day. But from the space station they can see it's going around 16 times a day. Sun rises and it sets 16 times a day. The earth is spinning, mad. And it's moving around that sun, mad. Do you feel dizzy? Well, look at the way Allah proportioned everything. You look up at the sky and slowly, when the moon is out, if you look, it looks like it moves slowly. Allah made it beautiful for you. وَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي خَلَقَهُنْ. Worship the one who created these things. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.